Hello and welcome to our last section in chapter 8. The nice thing about this section here is that there's no new material. We're just going to be practicing what we've been learning. So it's kind of like a review day. And what we're going to be doing is identifying what shape a quadrilateral is. So you're going to identify special quadrilaterals. So basically, given these characteristics, these properties, what is it? So here is all of the things we've studied, all the types of quadrilaterals we've studied. We've studied parallelograms, which breaks down to rectangles and rhombuses. More specifically then, we have squares, which have all the properties of the rectangles, the rhombus, and the parallelograms. Then we have trapezoids, and more specifically isosceles trapezoids. So the isosceles trapezoid is same thing as trapezoid with a few other special features. And then we have kites in their own little world there. Okay, so the first thing that you want to look at here, it says, what is the most specific name for quadrilateral ABCD? This right here. What they're going to do is they're going to make the shapes look like things that they aren't. And you can only rely on the marked information when you interpret a diagram. And we've talked about this before in class on how to not let the picture deceive you. So although it looks like a square, it's not actually a square. It is a parallelogram. And the reason why I know that is the diagonals bisect each other. And that's what you have to go off. So as I've been saying throughout this chapter, you really have to know these properties inside out. Is enough information in the diagram to show that the quadrilateral is an isosceles trapezoid? Explain. Well, let's first show that as a trapezoid. Let's just double check there. Well, the triangle sum, the quadrilateral sum for the interior angles has to be 106. And so that makes these parallel here, consecutive interior angles, same side interior angles are supplementary. And PQ is not parallel to RS. So that's important. So we have one and only one set of parallel sides. So it is a trapezoid. Now, I look at the base angles, 74 and 74, those are congruent, so yes, base angles are congruent. And that would be my reasoning. So, yep, it's isosceles. Here's some more questions for you guys to practice. Quadrilateral DEFG has at least one pair of opposite sides congruent. What type of quadrilateral meets this condition? So I'm just going to draw this here. One side of opposite sides. Oh, opposite sides congruent. Okay, so it could be isosceles trapezoid. That's probably the one that students are most likely to forget. And then, let's see, any parallelogram, rectangle, square, rhombus. All of those have at least one side congruent. One pair of opposite sides congruent. The only thing that wouldn't meet that would be like a kite or a regular trapezoid. Number 2, give the most specific name for the quadrilateral. Explain the reasoning. I have two sets of consecutive sides congruent, so it is a kite. Here, I have one set of parallel sides. The diagonals do not bisect each other, so this would be a trapezoid. Here, I have one set of congruent opposite sides. One of the diagonals bisects the other one, but that's it. So we don't actually know anything about this. This is just a quadrilateral. Interesting. We don't have information to even tell us a parallelogram. All right. A student knows the following information about quadrilateral MNPQ. Last question for the day. I'm just going to draw M, N, P, Q. Alright, so we have MN is parallel to PQ, MP is congruent to NQ, or congruent, and P and Q are the same. So the student concludes that it's an isosceles trapezoid. Explain why the student cannot make this conclusion. Well, it could be a rectangle or a square. We don't know anything about MQ and NP, so it could be a square. A square has a square or rectangle. Both of these have congruent diagonals with the two angles that would be the same on the bottom there. So there you go. That's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Here's your assignment. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me.